Hi, my name is Chelsea Spence, and this is my Ignite presentation. I am terrible at physics. My junior year of high school, I took my first physics class. My teacher was really nice, and physics seemed to be second nature to him. I took my academics very seriously, and up until that point, I had never received anything less than an A. But then came along my physics class. No matter how many times I read the textbook or tried those problems, I just didn't seem to get it. I ended the class with a B. You could say I was scarred. I now realize that my teacher didn't really use formative assessments, so he had no idea I was struggling, and he couldn't help me correct any misunderstandings that I was having. And at the time, I was not an active learner. Formative assessments are paramount to success in the classroom, and it is crucial that both the teacher and the student are active participants in the use of formative assessments. We'll now examine 7 strategies that help to maximize the benefits of formative assessments. First, both the teacher and student need to have a clear understanding of the learning target. If you don't know where you're going, how will you end up at your destination? Clear learning targets help to guide instruction, assignments, and formative and summative assessments. They are the backbone of a good lesson plan. Secondly, you need to show students exactly what they're striving for and what they need to stay away from. Through the use of exemplars and examples of weak work, students develop a better understanding of the end goal. Next, you have to give students regular feedback to assist them in their journey to mastery. We've all been there. You spend hours and hours on a paper or a project, you get it back, and it's branded with a letter grade. That's it? All that work and all I get is a stinking letter? Even if it's a good grade, you want to know what the instructor appreciated about your efforts. And if it's a poor grade, you don't know how to improve. Good educators have to offer feedback, highlighting both the strengths and the areas of growth. By complimenting students on one area of their work, you increase academic confidence. By offering constructive feedback, you help the student understand how they can actively improve their learning. But beware, because good feedback does not do the thinking for the student. That just makes your job more difficult, and it doesn't actually help them increase their understanding. And don't forget about peer feedback. Students can be great teachers too, and one of the best ways to strengthen your understanding is to teach someone else. Remember that both the teacher and the student have to be active participants. So the next strategy is to have students self-assess and set goals. This strategy is huge. The ability to self-assess and set goals will help students to move to a learning orientation, which is the ultimate goal. We want students to enjoy and want to learn. Next, we have to actually use the evidence we get from formative assessments to determine where we go next with our instruction. Had my physics professor assessed me prior to the test, he would have realized that I wasn't prepared, that I needed reteaching, that I had some errors in my understanding, and he could have perhaps helped me to correct them. When he finally did get some evidence from the test, he didn't do anything with it. He had to have known I was clueless, but he didn't go back and revisit the concepts that lost me. He didn't use a feedback loop. And so many of us, I think, are guilty of not using that feedback loop as well as we should. Time makes it a challenge. And since I received a good enough grade, and I was thanking my lucky stars that it wasn't actually reflective of what I understood in the class, I let it go. I had a goal orientation at that time. I got the grade. Why did I really need to know physics? Bottom line, I never reached mastery. Diagnosing student needs is crucial so that we can utilize the feedback loop and help each student find success. After you've determined student needs, the next step is to follow with continued practice and feedback. Don't grade practice work. Again, we want our students to not only reach success, but to feel success. I teach struggling readers. It is so apparent that many of them know that they struggle with reading. That's why it's so critical that as they practice, they're given compliments and constructive feedback. They want to get better, and I want them to make gains. But I want them to also develop a level of confidence that allows them to want to put in the effort. It's crucial. Make sure your practice is meaningful. Scaffold appropriately. Again, include a peer interaction component. Students really can learn from each other. Finally, include students in their learning by allowing them to track, reflect on, and share their learning progress. When students are able to keep track of what skills they've mastered, they beam. They feel success. When they keep track of skills that they need to revisit, they're active in their learning and are aware of what they need to do next, the next steps. And reflection is such a useful skill in and out of the classroom. As educators, we have to reflect constantly. We need to teach our students to reflect on what they are learning so they can determine their next steps. Now, I know some thoughts towards my high school physics teacher may have been implied, but he was young, and in reality, I know I've been guilty of not utilizing formative assessments the way that I should have. We all make mistakes, and we all have areas where we can grow. Formative assessments have so many benefits for both the teacher and the student, especially when both are active participants in the process. So I challenge you to analyze how you use formative assessments and pick a strategy or two to focus on. Let's create an environment filled with active learners who enjoy learning. Thank you. And here's my resources.